floor plan and converting that to 3D. First of all, click File, New, and we want to click on Print, View All Presets, and select A3 and make sure that we change the measurement into centimeters so it makes it easier later on. Now I've pressed create. What we're going to be using for the exterior is the rectangle tool, and I'm going to just click and set this to the scale that I want. So I want my building to be 12 centimeters wide by 2.5 high, and that will create a scaled at 1 to 100, 12.5 by 2.5. And I'm then going to click and make this an L shape by making my width on the second one 2.5, the height can be 12.5. So now I can use the black select tool at the top corner. I can move this up and overlap them, and what I'm going to do to make this one object is with the black select tool, click and drag and select both objects and use the shape builder tool on the left hand side to drag through these and convert it into one object. So now I have my scaled floor plan complete. What we're going to do next is add in some windows and doors. So Alt and scroll to zoom in, space bar, if you hold that down you can move the page around. What I'm going to do to start is make the stroke 4 point so the exterior is thicker. And for the windows, I'm just going to zoom in. I want a long window the whole way along this face. So I'm going to use the rectangle tool again. Over here on my color, I'm going to leave it white, but with the stroke, I'm going to click this little remove button. So you can click on that stroke, click the remove button, and now I only have a white fill. And where my window is, I'm just going to draw a long shape along there, back to my black select tool, click on it, and I can drag it down and have that centered in there to look like a hollow space for now. Then my doorway over here on this face, what I'm going to do at the moment is I'm going to use the curvature tool and to draw a doorway that will fold open, I'm going to click, draw a point, hold down Shift and click and drag, and it means that I can now add another face where I want it, let go, and back to my black select tool. So I've drawn one path, and to make it accurate, I'm going to copy and paste this, Control C, Control V, hover on the outside, grab that corner, and rotate it around while holding Shift. So it keeps it locked at 90 degrees. Line it up. And now what I need to do is I need to join these two corners together by using the curvature tool. I can click on this anchor point, find my center point, which I'm just going to predict at the moment, and join it up to there. And that has curved, but I can double click on that anchor point to get it nice and accurate. And once again, black select tool and deselect. And now I have a doorway that I can put there like that. That shows that opening curvature. And for now, that's all I'm going to do. Keep it nice and simple. Some furniture inside. I'm going to use the rectangle tool again. And same as last time, just click once. So I want a bench that runs down the middle of this, and I'm going to make that bench 8 meters long. And I'm going to make it, the height is actually the width here, I'm going to make it 0.5, so that is half a meter wide. So half a meter wide, 8 meters long, which I can place in there. And what I'm going to do as well is this is still set to 4-point stroke, and I'm going to change that back to 1 point, so it's a lot thinner. I want to add, say, a counter up here. So the same thing again, rectangle tool, click. My counter is going to only be 2 meters wide and 0.5. And since that is running the wrong way, black select tool, I can hover on the outside, click and hold shift and rotate it around so that it is running vertically, and that is where my counter can sit. And what I might even do, let's just go and in here, I'll just add a little bit of detail, which could be a register, could be something else relevant. And finally, let's go and add up here a bench. The width is still 0.5 and the length of this bench can be, say, 6 meters. That can sit along that wall. And what I'll add here as well is I'll add, and I'm just going to copy this. Control C, Control V, hover, hold down Shift and rotate it. And I'll zoom all the way in and drag this down. I'll add a window that runs along this bench. As you can see, it's a bit long, so I'm going to zoom all the way in and just drag that up until it is the same length. Just like that. So a couple of windows, a couple of benches, a doorway. Now, that's all to scale at the moment in, if I use a text box, that is in 1 to 100 in centimeters. So 1 meter equals 1 centimeter. To convert this to 3D, what we first need to do is select the outside, and I'm going to copy and paste it. Now, with this, the tool we're going to use is under Effect, and it is called the 3D Materials, and we're going to use the 3D Classic so that we can extrude it later on, or expand it. And before I do that, what I'm actually going to change really quickly is I'm going to change the stroke back to 1 point so that the walls are a lot thinner. Now, Effect, 3D Materials, Extrude and Bevel, Classic. And at the moment, this is set to off axis from, which means that I can rotate it whichever direction I want. What I want to do instead, so that I can get an accurate measurement for all of them, is change it to isometric top. And now that means that I will actually be able to set all of my other features to isometric top, and it should be fine. What I could even do is set this to isometric top. And now, what I'm going to change is the 50-point depth. I'm just going to knock that up a little bit. 60-point. Click no cap so that it's hollow. So where it says cap, turn off the hollow appearance and press OK. The reason why this is dark black is because over here on my colors, I still have a stroke. So you can remove that. And now we have this gray scale isometric version of our building. What I'm going to do now is, so I can actually preview this a little bit better, I'm going to go up and click on Object and expand the appearance. So this is why we use the Classic 3D for the outside. What that allows us to do now is to delete any walls that we don't want. So all of these are now separate faces. But to select those faces, we need to use the white select tool. So I'm going to select the white tool, click on the background to deselect, and at the moment I'm just going to delete this wall, and I'm going to click on this wall and delete that as well. And now we have a hollow appearance, but we can't see the floor. So I'm going to add that in first, and to do that we have to select our floor up here again, Control C, Control V. The same as before, I'm going to set the stroke back to 1, and this time I'm going to use Effect, 3D, and I'm going to go back to extrude and bevel, but I'm not using classic. I'm just going to use the top one. And that will now open up this panel, which I can leave here the whole time. So I don't want the floor to be 3D. I want it to actually be a plane. So it's just a two-dimensional object. The preset I will change to isometric top again. And I can now go over my stroke and remove that stroke. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this down so it lines up with the ground. You can use the arrow keys as well to change it later to do smaller movements. So just like that. And then I'm going to right click on that and go down to arrange and send it to the back. And that's going to make it go below my walls. So I've got a little bit of a preview. Now I have this version. I'm going to do my window to start with. So I'm actually going to click on this window, Control C, Control V. Okay, and so for this window, I'm going to zoom in, and now I'm going to stretch it down to be the height I want it to be. So I can change this color to something a bit brighter so we can see. I can make it the height I want, and at the moment you can see there it says H0.97. That's about a meter tall, which is fine. And same thing, change this to plane, change it to isometric, and I'll go isometric left so it runs along that wall, and I can now drag that down onto my wall as a window. I'll now go and I'll set it back to a grey colour. I'll keep it all grayscale at the moment, and I have a window there. Now for my bench here, I'm going to click on this, Control C, Control V, and extrude it so it's three-dimensional. At the moment, if I go isometric top, and it will make it the depth of it. At the moment you can see, and this actually gives us now a centimetre measurement. The depth of this is 1.76 centimetres, which means it's 1.7 metres tall. I want this bench to be 1 metre tall, so I'll set it to 1 centimetre, and I can now pull this down. So now we can go and we can put our bench in there. We can line it up with where we want it to be. I can select my little register, same thing, Control C, Control V. I can extrude it as an isometric top. This little register is only going to be 20 centimetres tall, so 0.2 centimetres. Okay, and I can arrange that where I want it. And same as the other objects I've already done, I'm going to click on this register. I'm going to hold down Shift and I'm going to click on the bottom as well and get rid of that black stroke. And I can change those colours later. And finally, I can do our middle one here, Control V, and the same thing, I'll extrude it. I'm going to set this to isometric left, isometric top, change it so that this is also 1 centimetre high and press enter. Over here with my stroke, I'll get rid of the stroke and I can drag it down. And now what we see is that this is actually in front of the wall. Is click on this wall, right click and arrange it and bring it to the front. And what that will do is it will now put that behind that wall. So it starts to play around with that layering a little bit. What I've now lost though is my window, which is this object which is hidden here. And I can right click on my window and arrange it as well. And I'll bring that window to the front. And I can also click on my register and my bench and arrange it and bring it to the front as well. And sometimes we'll just need to go and rearrange a few things to fix that up. But we're starting to get a bit of a preview of what our three-dimensional version is in the exact same scale for our development concepts. And once it's sort of done, we can select it, we can right-click, and we can group it. And now that means that we have a two-dimensional version, a three-dimensional version, all finished up, just using that 3D materials tool.